guys, welcome to Chef Grace's place. So today, I have a very special guest. Her name's Jen, and we're going to talk a little bit about jiu-jitsu. I know it's not something I would typically talk about on this channel, but it does relate to food, and it's or lack of food sometimes. But it's very personal to me. About a couple weeks ago, my twin brother saw this video of me on YouTube and was like, "Oh my God, I think this is you." And it was a video of me from when I was like 14. I was like, pretty much my whole life, I wanted to be a pastry chef, except for like 2 years where I was like, I'm going to be the first female fighter in the UFC in middle school. And like, it all started out because like my brother's a very good talker, and we're twins, so women grow faster than men. And so in like 6th grade, I was like the tallest kid in 6th grade, and my brother would say like the meanest things to me and like twist my words around, and I had no comebacks, so I would just go for it. So my father got upset that his son was getting beat up by his daughter, so he put my brother in jiu-jitsu. And then I had no defense. And then my mom was like, well, this isn't fair. So she let me join jiu-jitsu. Oh. And then we started competing together. And like throughout high school, this is like early 2000s, we were like, you know, he was always in the top like 10 guys grappling, and I was always in like the top 5. So we just like really went for it. And, you know, then I had a lot of problems with my family, and my father died, and I wound up like the gym became like my home away from home. So to me, like pretty much my work ethic and like, you know, pretty much like how I live my life, all those like the morals of the dojo and all that other stuff, it really like you know, make me the person I am today. So I really advocate for like women to do martial arts, because I think it just gives you so much confidence, and it, especially jiu-jitsu, it really shows you that like muscle strength isn't the only kind of strength. You know.
Yeah.
So on that note, how do you get into jiu-jitsu, Jen?
So I had 2 uncles who were a few years older than me, and then a younger brother. But like having 2 older uncles that I grew up with, the one was just 3 years older than me, and then the next one was only a few years older than that. And so just constantly being beat up by your 2 older like brothers per se. And you just kind of get into that, like you're always fighting, you're always doing this, you're always doing that. And so I started like my fascination probably came out right around the time like UFC came out and things like that, or the Ultimate Fighting Championship. And so we had all started karate, and we went through there. I went to get my brown belt, and that was like when I was a teenager, but there wasn't any jiu-jitsu schools where I lived because I'm from a small town in Pennsylvania. And so it was always an interest for me, but it was never quite possible. Like I did the karate, which was a mix of like boxing, kickboxing, and things like that. But then when I moved out to Las Vegas in 2004, it was still in the back of my head. And now I'm like significantly older than a teenager, you know, because I had 2 kids at that time. But it was always something I wanted to do. And so then my uncle, who was closest in age to me, he's like, let's just start it. So we found a gym and we started taking. Now, before that, my mom put my son in jiu-jitsu. And so then I saw him for like a few years, and I was like, this is what I want to be doing, you know? And so then when my uncle moved out, and we were like, let's do it. And then we just started and fell in love with it ever since then.
So I hear you want to start a women's program or a school? Or
yeah, so the gym that I'm at now, sometimes women come in and they get intimidated for whatever reason, because there are more guys, obviously, in the gym, in the program. And so we were talking, my coach and I were talking, and eventually it's in the works. We're going to start a women's only class, which I think will be good. Because firsthand knowledge, my daughter, so she is 17 now, and I've encouraged her to come to some classes, and she likes it, but she doesn't like the closeness with the guys. She's like, I just don't like being touched or this or that, like you're so close and things like that. And so I think it might help ease her into it, and other younger girls and older girls who maybe just want to have the relaxing. I guess it's the same concept of like the gyms out here sometimes have like a women's only section where they can like go and it's all women and they don't have to worry about anything like that. So that's kind of our concept, like start a class. They're more than welcome to join the co-ed class, but some women are more comfortable with all women. So
Yeah, and I feel like from my personal experience, unfortunately, I really do think it's a good idea to have an all women's class, but I think you're also kind of kidding yourself if you think just training with only women is going to help you, because every time people have tried to sexually assault me, they have not been my size.
well, that's a great point. And so we were actually just had this conversation at jiu-jitsu, like what is your goal for joining here? Like, yes, some people love to compete. Like I'm one of those. I love to compete. I think it helps me grow as a person, as an athlete, all that stuff. But the main reason you're doing jiu-jitsu overall is to protect yourself, protect your family. And so, yeah, you're going to come in contact with those people that are bigger than you, they're stronger than you. And jiu-jitsu is something that will help level the playing field for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I got out of a couple situations, and it's just the thing about jiu-jitsu is you're using the other person's momentum and their weight against them. You're using different like leverage basically.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so helpful, because if the person attacking you, if the person attacking you like also knows jiu-jitsu and is like 250 pounds, like it's probably not going to help that much, but like you might catch them in a mistake or something. But when it comes to someone who's like not trained at all, like usually you're good and you can run and get out of there. You
yeah,
a couple moves and run away.
yeah, and then you become comfortable in an uncomfortable situation, which lets you get your bearings back and compose your thoughts, like what do I need to do next in this situation, as opposed to just freaking out like I'm over this is happening to me and that's that. So
yeah, and a lot of but the other thing where I really like the women's class is when you're training, you always have the guys that they're muscling you around, it's good for like, once in a while when you're testing yourself and stuff like that. But when you're just trying to like drill and get the move down and like figure out how you got to position your body and stuff, like it's way more helpful to like have someone who understands what it's like to be so tiny,
Yeah, and the thing is, so like the belt rankings in jiu-jitsu go like white, blue, purple, brown, and black. And so the only times I ever get injured are rolling with white belt guys. I don't know, like it's like a new concept to them. And sometimes like the ego can get the best of some people and they're like, I'm not letting a girl beat me up or things like that. And that's all well and good, but like I don't want to get injured because you're just wailing and flailing, and obviously you're bigger and stronger than me, and I'm not trying just to like if I'm focusing more on technique than just trying to go crazy with you. Sometimes you can get like I've gotten a black eye twice before. One time it lasted for I think 2 months, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Well, I remember I wasn't even in this match. And the other gym I was at, like on Wednesdays, it was like bring your friend to try it out day. And one of the white belts brought his other friend, and I'm practicing like escaping from triangle chokes over there. And I had posted my arm like real quick, and they were the match next to me. The guy took him down onto my arm and fractured my ulna. And I was training to fight. I was going to do an MMA fight.
Oh my gosh.
Nope.
Oh, that kind of canceled that out.
I canceled that out.
Cool.
But
yeah, so I mean, sometimes, I mean, you only have so much mat space, and when classes get full, like you have to be aware of your surroundings. And I know, like when you compete, you have this like little square, and sometimes it's hard because if there's not many people on the mat, you're like here, you're there, you're everywhere. But when you're competing, they'll like stop you, like you need to stay in your square. And so, I think it's important for spatial awareness too. Like it's just so all encompassing.
when you're in a real fight, you want to
yeah.
know what's around you. That's even more dangerous because there's
because you don't want to fall on something that can injure you more than the person coming at you.
And you don't like whenever I've been in a real fight too, you want to make sure you like my goal has always been to like either get away or like isolate the person so they can't move, not to injure them, you know, maybe embarrass them, but you know, hold them in that rear naked and be like, what are you going to do now? But never to actually like injure the person. I think embarrassment is usually the best teacher.
But yeah, and you want to subdue them so you don't get injured. Like
yeah.
I know a friend of mine who takes jiu-jitsu was in the casino one day and actually witnessed like a girl being abused by her boyfriend. And so he totally stepped up and put a rear naked choke on the guy to subdue him and kind of de-escalated that situation. So it's super important for all aspects of your life to be able to have some of that knowledge where you can do some damage really quick, but you could also do a lot of damage if you need to. So,
but also that you can have control over the amount of damage you want to inflict, because that's another thing. People who aren't trained, they'll be like, you know, if they get lucky and they do land that like sucker punch, like sometimes, and then the guy lands on the floor and cracks his head open, like,
yeah,
it's better just to have more control over the situation. So that's what I go for.
I agree with you. Yeah. No one wants to be sitting in jail for an accident, you know what I mean?
No.
Like, so I think one, don't get in outside street fights, and then two, if you have to, just do the bare minimum to get yourself free.
Yeah, but yeah, the guys with the, I remember when I was a kid, because I was doing this like 12, 13, 14, I probably stopped around 17, and they would always, it was a good idea because it would weed out the guys who couldn't let their ego go. But when they had especially wrestlers come in from like college, they would go, all right, you're gonna go up against Grace, and they would like, they're like, what are you talking about? And they're like, this is a 14-year-old. Like, if you can beat her, then you can train here for free. But the wrestlers, whenever they would go for the double leg, they would leave their head down because they don't have to worry about getting choked in wrestling. Right. So every time I would just get the guillotine and get them in guard, or just finish them off with the guillotine, and then they would sign up for the year. Or they would get really mad and they would just storm out, and like, you don't want to train with those people anyway. So it was like,
yeah. I actually had an experience just like that. There was a guy who was kind of new, and we went around, and so I'm like thinking it's going to be like a relaxed match because, you know, you're kind of new, like let's gauge each other. No, right, shoot in for the double leg. And so I grabbed the guillotine, held on super tight, and then yeah, he ended up tapping. But I was like, well, then we're going to go this way, I guess, you know. So
So anyway, how many competitions have you done?
So I've done a bunch. I did Naga a few times because I know you had said your brother did Naga. And then I did some IBJJF ones. So I only did one when I was a white belt. And then I did some more as a blue belt, started liking it more, and then purple belt. The last one I did was before quarantine. It was in December. It was Nogi Worlds. And it actually won double gold at that, but at my level. So I'm purple belt. So I'm actually a brown belt now, but as a purple belt. Yeah. So
Yeah,
It
that's
was
good. What are you talking about?
super exciting.
How many matches, like how many people did you have to fight? Because
So my division, it was only one girl. And then the open weight, it was 3, I believe.
okay.
Yeah, so just 4 total.
Open weight is, I don't know if they had that when I was competing. It's just any weight.
Yeah, anyway.
Okay.
I don't know if they have that in like smaller, like I don't know if Naga has that, like the smaller tournaments. I know that the larger ones usually do. Actually, no, they do now. It's probably a newer thing, yeah.
And now we're gonna get to the food questions.
Oh my gosh, I heard you saying earlier about lack of eating. And yeah, so the first blue belt competition I did, I don't know, in my mind, I'm like, I've always had weight issues. Like if I eat a meal, I can gain like 5 pounds in one meal. And so in my mind, I'm like, if I do a smaller weight class, I'm going to be way stronger than those girls. Okay. So, but then I'm like, I have to actually be that weight myself. And so that blue belt competition I did, I think it was literally like 2 days. I don't think I ate at all. I had like ice pops and that was it. And so by the time I got in there, I lost my first match, won the second one, lost the third one. And I was just like, if I just would have went in at my own weight, like I probably would have done way better. But that took so long to learn. There was, I think I missed weight at competition like 3 times in a row once. Like it was horrible. My coach was so mad. My teammates were like, what are you doing? Like I went into the lower weight class, missed weight. There was a competition like a month later. I went into the next highest weight class and then missed it at that one. And I was like, I need to rethink everything that I'm doing right now because something is not right. And ever since then, like I just became more accepting of my body. And like if I want to eat, I'll eat. And then I'm just going to go in at the weight class that I'm in. Like you can change your weight class up into a week of the competitions. And so like it doesn't pay because this last one that I was in for Nogi Worlds, I had my match at my weight class, and then the open weight classes, there was girls who were heavier and lighter, and the toughest match I had was a girl who was lighter. So you never can tell, I guess. It was just a mindset change.
So when I was a kid, for people who aren't familiar with the sport or jiu-jitsu or wrestling or anything, it's divided up into weight classes. And then when I was a kid, if you were under 18, they didn't separate the genders. It was just go for it. And for
under
me,
18.
that under 18,
wow.
So that sucked because I was like 125 since like I was 13. I've been 5'4" and 120, so I'm like, so I'm like this little kid and I'm grappling like, like 16, 17-year-old guys that have like beards. But then when they separated that out the points, it was by gender. So I was always like, what the fuck? I'm not getting credit for beating up these 17-year-old guys. Like if I look at the points, I would be 5th in the men's. What's going on? Like I want my credit. But basically, because they have weight classes, everyone always wants to, your weight class might be, say it's 125 to 130. And this is for the people listening. I know you know this. So say it's 125 to 130. It's better to, if you weigh 125, to try to get down to 124.5 and be in the top of the weight class below you than to be in the bottom of your weight class, because then you're going to be fighting people that are 130 and there could be 5 pounds more muscle you have to compete against. So most people try to cut weight as far as they can. And this especially is a big problem in high school wrestling because, they'll just they'll dehydrate themselves to the point where they're just sitting in class, spitting into a water bottle, or they're wearing sauna suits to sweat the weight out. And it's since I was a kid, it's gotten a little bit better with the nutrition, but it's still like super dangerous. And I just feel like if they had some sort of like measurement where like they could measure like your how much water you had in your body or something, it would make it a lot safer because you're stunting your growth, especially as a kid when you're cutting weight like that. And when you go through these extreme weight changes, and even as an adult, and especially for women, it's not good for your body at all.
Yeah.
And the fights would be better because everyone would be fighting at their peak performance. So that would be a bonus too.
Yeah, I know for women it's tough because I mean you go through that monthly cycle and sometimes it's easier to gain weight and sometimes or lose weight and sometimes it's impossible. Like you will retain water no matter what you do. And so I think you just have to be your healthiest. And so, like you said, like maybe someone has 5 pounds more muscle. And so, what can you do on a permanent basis that will put you on a level that's equally that's equal, and that's to get in the best shape that you can be in. So, like always eat proper, and everyone's going to have cheat days and cheat meals, and I think you need that to keep your body where it needs to be because your body's always going to crave things that you need. So sometimes it's going to be something that may not look like it's a perfect diet, but it's going to help your body get back on track, I think, and heal faster too. Because if you are not putting nutrition in your body and not being hydrated, like those small injuries can just grow and you're not going to recover as well as you would.
That is very true with the injuries. Everyone in jiu-jitsu's got injuries.
Lifetime of injuries. It's always like, well, this is broken, this was broken, and I laugh because you start the week on Monday, and then as you're rolling through the week, you just develop bruises, and so by Friday, your legs look like they've been through the ringer, and then you finally, if you don't, like sometimes I take off Saturday and Sunday, and so by Monday it's like, okay, now it's fresh again to get them all banged up. So.
Yep, I think I still have bruises from 10 years ago.
Well, your arm probably still has some effects after being broken.
Yeah, it's like the rotation's off. But an interesting thing is, since I started when I was a kid and I was growing, I have like extra flexibility in my elbows from being armbarred so much.
Oh my gosh.
Like it's supposed to, like it goes a little bit farther.
Oh yeah.
And that's just from being armbarred so much.
Oh that's like funny or like abuse in some way, I'm sure. But my arm was broken with an arm bar before, and so mine like probably doesn't have as much flexibility, or like every time it gets in this one weird position, it like sends me through the roof. And so that's just like an after effect of getting injured. I don't think that's ever going to go away.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, not to scare anyone, it's great sport and it's better than like, to me, it's better. I mean, growing up, we did a lot of like MMA, like learning how to like box and stuff in the gym, but we weren't allowed to compete in it because we were too young. So I probably got like hit in the head more than I should have. But the good thing about jiu-jitsu is that you're not you're not punching and kicking and stuff, so the brain injury risk is pretty low. So
yeah,
that's helpful.
and my coach has a thing where every like on Saturdays he'll slow us down and he calls it chess, and so we'll go super slow, like one movement, just one movement, like I go one movement, you go one movement, and it slows your brain down to start thinking about what to do next as opposed to just kind of free flying all over the place. So I think it's a really good concept. It's more like an art in your head, like to beat them, not academically, but more like intellectually as opposed to physically.
No, that's one of the reasons why I love jiu-jitsu, because I hate working out. Like I hate it. And when you're doing jiu-jitsu, it's like your brain is so active, you're not worried about how tired your body is. And especially when you're grappling, even if you are worried about how tired your body is, it's not going to stop the other person from coming at you. So
Yeah.
you can't stop.
And I just don't think you can get a better cardio workout, because even if you're running or you're doing the Stairmaster, which, you know, I can do all the time, once you're in a match with someone and their body weight is on you, like the cardio that it takes is just a completely different ball game. And nothing can prepare you for it except, you know, just keep practicing rolling and with other people.
Yeah, that's true. That's why my brother just finished his tournament. He talk about cutting weight. He went down to 139 pounds, and he's 5'11". I'm like, bro, don't do that. And then he shows me a picture though of like the guy he fought, like he beat, and he was really excited to get the NAGA belt. They didn't have those.
Yeah.
But you know, he did the other guy did the exact same thing, and that's where I'm like, with this cutting weight stuff. But it's a, you know, to be on sharp with that is great, because it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. Like that's a cool, you know, that's not muscling. So that's
And
really
I think
intelligent.
some tournaments probably are trying to shy away from the cutting, because some of them will make you weigh in and then go right out and compete. And so it's super hard for you to cut weight and then you go right out. You're obviously so weak because you're still not hydrated. You have like a span of maybe 10 minutes from the time you weigh in until you're out on the mat. Whereas other tournaments will allow you to weigh in the night before, and then you can kind of rehydrate. So it's a little bit easier to cut weight in some of those.
Yeah, we always had day of weigh-ins, and I tried to cut weight once, and like as a kid, my diet was awful. Oh, sorry, Noelle's coming in. It's getting home from work, so let's edit this part out. Hi, Noelle.
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing? From New Jersey, if you couldn't tell. How you doing?
Wow, really?
Wow, really?
I'm from Pennsylvania, so it's right next door.
What?
I'm originally from Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah. What part of Pennsylvania?
Reading. It's near Philly.
Oh, I lived in Philly for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you like it?
I loved it. I lived in like West Philadelphia. Now it's more like UPenn, like bought it basically. I feel like, but 45th and Chester. That was where I lived. It was great. I went to the restaurant school at Walnut Hill College, and
Oh, you did?
yeah, in Philly.
They have some great food there. Have you ever tried a Philly cheesesteak?
Yeah, actually,
That's not the same out here.
no, not. But I went to a pastry when I was at pastry school. Pat Oliveri, who owns not Pat, sorry, Frank Oliveri, he owns Pat Steaks, but he's, I think, the grandkid or the great grandkid of the actual guy, Pat. So he was like in my class because he decided he wanted to, you know, like level up Pat Steaks and make sure like it's going to be good for the future and everything. So it was really cool to like just have him around, you know?
Yeah.
Because he had so much insight in like how to run a business too. So that was really cool.
Yeah, because I'm sure from the time he could like do anything, he was shoved in the business, helping out and things like that. Family businesses, they start you super young.
So that was cool. So Pat's is better than Gino's, if anyone's asking. But yeah, and I would love the Reading Terminal Market. It was also pretty cool. Speaking of Reading.
Yeah, we had the best food, and we had like the farmers markets where you go and have like the fresh food cooked. It was so good. I miss that. That's probably the thing that I miss the most is the food and things like that, like the home cooking type of food.
Yeah, I don't. How's the food in Nevada? It's okay.
It's good, but there's a lot of like chain restaurants. So like for the middle kind of dining out, it's a lot of the chain restaurants. Like the higher end dining, they have great dining in the casinos and things like that. But where I'm from, there was more like mom and pop shops, and they probably are around, but I just don't know as much since I'm not from here my whole life.
I have the same problem. I'm in Florida now, West Palm, so it's like all chain restaurants. I find some of like a couple gems here and there, but like you really have to like look, you know. And no, haven't found any good Italian food yet, except for the stuff I make. Cause like,
oh, I love Italian food.
So, but
what are you focusing on today, or like?
Well, actually, today I am trying to get my stuff together. I'm entering a competition my friend Maria told me about. It's called the Greatest Baker Competition. So I was trying to like take a good picture for that. But there's some other requirements, like I have to set up like the whole profile thing. So that'll be coming out, I think, October 27th. I start like, hey, vote for me, that kind of stuff.
Awesome.
But the grand prize is $10,000 and a spread in Bake Magazine, and like I could use $10,000 right now. So I lost both my jobs when COVID happened. I was a international flight attendant, and I was working as a chef instructor at Sur La Table. I was teaching pastry classes, and luckily, probably in like 2 weeks, it's not gonna be as many classes as it was, but I'll be able to go back to teaching a little bit in West Palm at Sur La Table if anyone wants to buy a class. But you know,
Do you teach in person, or is it on like Zoom?
No, it's in person. It's at the store. They were gonna close the store, and then like last minute, like they took all the products out of the store and everything. The store they just built it. It opened around last Thanksgiving, and brand new kitchen. Like we would have like 16 people in a class, but now with COVID, we're only gonna have like 8. But they had taken everything out of the store. They were, you know, the going out of business sales were happening and stuff. And like last minute, the corporate called and was like, "No, we're gonna keep your store open." And everyone's like, "Oh my god, thank God."
Yeah, COVID has been quite a fiasco for a lot of people. So I work in education, so it's kind of been a blessing that I still, you know, have that consistency with the job. But
what do you do in education?
So I started as a counselor, as high school counselor, and now I coordinate. We have a magnet program at our school, so I'm the coordinator of that. Which is kind of cool. Yeah. Yeah, so at our school, kids can actually get their private pilot license before they graduate high school, which is pretty awesome.
What?
Yeah. Like they didn't have this when I was in when I went to high school, I went to a Catholic school in my small town. I think there was like 450 kids in the whole school. And then I come out here and there's like more than 450 kids in one grade level of class. And I'm like, wow, culture shock. You know, but they have some great stuff in education now for kids coming up.
So, okay, so people listening are probably gonna be like, "Grace, why are you so like, oh my God, private pilot license?"
Yeah.
Because it is so expensive to get your private pilot license. When I was flying with Norwegian. They wanted to hire American pilots at one point. They had a Fort Lauderdale base for pilots. And one of their biggest problems was there's a shortage of pilots because nobody can afford to get their commercial license, because first you have to get your private license. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you know, you have to pay the instructor like a couple $100s an hour, and then you need X amount of hours to get your license and everything. So to have that in high school is and they pay for it, or
so it's usually about like 8 to 12,000. The kids, the school kicks in a certain amount, and then there's different scholarships. So we had like I think 4 kids last year or the year before go through it from start to finish for free.
That's amazing.
Yeah, good opportunities.
Wow. And like also, I mean, people don't realize besides pilots, like there's a shortage of airplane mechanics as well. And that's what Noel is, he's going to take his test to be, but that is a very good paying job a couple years after you get into it. And if you think about it, like most of the people that are airplane mechanics right now are at the age where they're probably going to retire in the next 5 to 10 years. So if you're a young kid and you don't know what to do with your life, check that out. And there's not a lot of female airplane mechanics, but after like watching him do this kind of stuff, I feel like women would be great at it, not just because, why not? But Noel is he's 6'2" or something. And when you're working on an airplane,
You have to crawl in the spots.
yeah, you got to crawl in all these tiny spots, this thing called the hell hole, which is like where all the wires and stuff are and whatnot. So if you're a tinier person, it actually works in your benefit. And you have like tinier little hands to move all the wires and stuff. Like it's a really good thing to look into if you're a kid right now that doesn't know what they want to do with their life.
Yeah, and like you said, especially because there aren't that many women who are into it. And so like if you're looking for like a college program and you're a woman applying for it, like there's a lot of opportunities for different scholarships out there. So
that's awesome. There was something I was going to ask you before I got off topic. But that's okay.
You'll think of it.
I'll think of it. But you're closer to Las Vegas then?
Yeah, I'm in Las Vegas.
What
I'm like 10 minutes away from the Strip, I think.
10 minutes away from the Strip? I went to Las Vegas like once when I had like a layover there when I was flying, and it's a dangerous city, man. The hotel had free happy hour, so we were all done before we even went to the Strip. And all I remember was like I saw the Sphinx. One of the girls lost her shoe in the casino, and then we lost her. And then like, we were dancing at the Coyote Ugly Bar thing. And then we went home. But it was just like Las Vegas.
I don't have many stories because I was older when I came out. So like I already had one kid, and then I got pregnant with my son a few months after we moved out here. So I wasn't like into like the club scene or anything like that. But I remember going out once with some friends, and I think it was maybe, I don't know what casino it was, maybe Wynn or something, but it was at a nightclub, and they probably don't even have nightclubs because I don't know where it was. But he was so drunk, and then he's like, I had to go to the bathroom, and like 2 hours later finally like came out of the bathroom, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is why I never go out, because like I didn't want to just leave him there, but it's not like I could go in the men's bathroom to drag him out of the stall. So yeah, that was a fun night.
Oh man. So why did you move to Nevada?
We moved because of like my whole family moved, which doesn't usually happen. Like our whole family relocated, like aunts, uncles, grandma, everyone. We picked up, sold everything, and moved out here for numerous reasons. So I was the first person in my family to go to college, pretty much the only one at that point. So job opportunities, there were way more opportunities out here for everyone, like whether they worked in the casino, they did security, things like that. I mean, dealers out here make very good money. So that was the first thing. And then just the weather, like it rained so much in Pennsylvania, and then it was always cold. Like this summer was so short, and then it was cold all the time, rainy, and then it was snowy. And so now out here, like without the humidity, it's way more easier on like your bones, I guess, and things like that. So like my grandmother, my mom, all the arthritis, it's now like kind of not as hurting them as much as it was before. So
because that was the other thing. It is the Wild West of marijuana out there. Does your family use like CBD and stuff for the arthritis pain? It's supposed to be really good.
no, they don't. But I know like at the gym, a lot of people have the CBD ointment for injuries and stuff. And so even last night, like I got kind of injured and a friend of mine had like the CBD lotion or something. And he's like, try this. And so I don't have any of my own, but I think I might have to get some because it was super effective. But they're kind of older, so they're, set in their ways about stuff. So
Yeah. I was open-minded.
That, like
Yeah, I've been trying to. I wrote a book on marijuana edibles because when I lived in Philadelphia, my boyfriend at the time had really bad PTSD. He was in Iraq and Afghanistan, and they all, like the whole community of veterans, like they all smoked weed, and I was like, but they all had like the problems of it helped them with their PTSD, but then they had the problems of just smoking something where like you're getting a cough, you have the yellow teeth, it doesn't look nice, So I started making edibles for them. And then I wound up writing a book about I just through that I found like all the other health benefits. I was like cooking for people that had cancer and, people like who's a friend of a friend of a friend's son had epilepsy or something. So I really got to see like the benefits of that. And then I was like, oh, I'm gonna write a book about this and try to advocate more about like education for it because it's good.
Yeah, and I've been seeing more and more like on social media, like you said earlier, like jiu-jitsu doesn't give you like the traumatic brain injury as much, but I know like in MMA and boxing, like that does happen. And so I've seen more and more on their social media pages, like they're turning to that to help ease their symptoms and things like that, even to sleep better at night and things like that. So
well, also I never really knew this when I was a kid, but like then as an adult, so many people in like the jiu-jitsu community just smoke weed all the time. And it's so surprising because it doesn't fit the lazy stereotype of like a stoner. These people are getting things done. And like, yeah. I don't even know what they would be like if they didn't have it. Like,
there's some days I could probably catch a contact high at the gym. Yeah.
And it kind of, to me, I also was thinking about that. And I was like, it's kind of a performance enhancer because you're suppressing your fight or flight reflex. And then you can think about the move you're going to do because it's like coming to you in slow motion.
Yeah. It's like tunnel vision focuses you more.
Oh, man. So, but it's pretty cool. All right.
I didn't see him leave. I just saw him come twice now.
I didn't see him leave either. I'm really confused.
Like, wait a second.
When did you leave?
I left when you talk.
Through that door?
Yeah, through that door.
Okay.
I just saw him come twice, and I'm like, whoa.
Yep. I thought we have the patio door over there, so I thought maybe you went around, but apparently not. Apparently we're just two in our conversation. All right.
I'm gonna have to look up some of your matches now. I'm so curious.
I made a little playlist on the thing. There's one where it's me and this girl, Amy Torton, and we were always like one of us was first and one of us were second, like throughout the year in the point system. And this is like in 2004, 2005. So like, you had to go online and refresh and like, did
Yeah,
I put on my points yet? But the way the point system worked, even though she was one and I was two or vice versa, we actually never fought each other before. So because I was in New Jersey and she was in some of the tournaments in New Jersey, I remember, because she was like a sponsored fighter, one of like the local
Oh.
it was like a food thing. It was like nutritional. It was like before ACI, the berry thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Before that was like a thing, like they were doing it. and they would like have samples and stuff, and she would wear their shirts.
That's like the must-have jiu-jitsu tournament treat too.
Yeah. So they started it, I guess. It was Casa Grossa or something. But so she was like, you know, the star, their sponsor or whatever. Their I don't know what you call that. She was, yeah. But anyway, so but then she turned 18, and I was still like, it was 13 turning 14 or something. I was trying to get the dates from that guy Ty, who has the channel that all our videos are on, but he didn't have them because I'm trying, like, it's just so like conjumbled up in my brain of like all these different matches. Like I don't remember how old I was in some of them, but so I was probably 13 or 14, and it was in Jersey City, and I decided that I can't let her go into the women's thing. I never fought her. We're never gonna know who's the best one.
14, 18, that was a large gap at that age.
Oh yeah, I was definitely an idiot, but so I convinced my coach to let me fight in the women's division just to go try to fight her. And I don't think I had to like do well in my matches earlier in the day or something because the adults were always later.
Yeah.
And for some reason there were only like 3 people. It was like her and in NAGA, like they kind of just like pick who goes like against each other. So I get up to the mat and they call her up, and then they could either call me up or they could call this lady who was like, she still gives me nightmares. The scariest looking lady I've ever seen. She had love tattooed on her knuckles.
Oh no.
Like buzz cut. She was ripped. Like, and I was just like, you know, if she goes in with this girl, I might not get to fight Amy, and then I have to fight this lady.
And then you're under her. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So luckily the guy looks at her, it looks at me, it looks back at her, and is like, okay, you can go. So I got to fight her, and I wasn't practicing this move like for this match, but I was practicing it because I just thought it looked really cool. It was I think they call it an anaconda now. Back in like 2000, the early 2000s, like all the names of moves were different because Brazilian Jiu-jitsu wasn't like the only Jiu-jitsu. It was like, so we would even like think we made up a new move and like give it our own name.
Yeah.
So I think it's called like the anaconda now. I think we were calling it the gator roll though. But basically I got the anaconda from standing and like flipped over and did it. And I was like, I got it in the match, was so excited that I got it that like didn't even like tried to finish it so hard, even though like I had lost the choke and everything. I went into like a reverse triangle choke, arm triangle choke, and I didn't like get the leg. So it was kind of like, you should give up and try something else. But I just like used all my energy on that and then gassed out, and then she just like tapped me with something else. Like, darn.
I can definitely relate to that. Oh my gosh. Like you get so excited and you're in the moment and then you're not like aware of what's still happening. I know when I said about my arm being broken before, it was like a no-gi match too. It was no-gi worlds, I think, probably maybe 2017. And we start off, and I am horrible at takedowns. Like my knees aren't that great. And so like the level change that is needed for them is just, it's not the smoothest for me. So start off the match, get a takedown, score 2 points. So I'm up 2 points. I'm like in my head, I'm like, yay, like I just got a takedown. And then she like wrapped up my arm, and I wasn't like totally, I did the wrong thing. Like I go the wrong way. Then I like stand up to get out of it instead of like going down and trying to stack her. And like a few seconds later, it's like crack, 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 crack. And so I'm like, the one time I get an amazing takedown, and then my arm gets broken. So,
but then at the end of the day, though, like I was still like, I knew I lost, but I wasn't that upset because I was just so excited that I got that one move.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's the same thing with my story. Like, yeah, you got your arm broke. Yes, but I had a beautiful takedown first. So you got to capitalize on what counts.
Yeah. But so great. And you just learn so much too when you lose like that. Like you're never gonna get caught like that again.
Yeah, that's so true. Like I remember my one blue belt match. I lost. I think it was called spider guard. Like they wrap you around. I could not pass this girl's guard. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is happening? And I was so upset, like in my performance after, but it totally turned something on in my head. Like I need to train differently. I will not let that happen again, like fix the holes in your game. And it made me way more competitive. So I'm actually kind of glad it happened. So they have the saying like, oh, you never lose, you learn. And I think it's perfect if you actually take that and it actually means something to you. Like if that's how you go about stuff, because you can dwell on your losses or you could learn from them and become better and come out better.
And I mean, when I first started, I lost all the time. There was this one kid, I think his name is Sergi, and he was like my size basically, and he beat me every single time. And I just kept going and going and going, and then I beat him once, and he never beat me again. And I was just like that's all it takes. Like sometimes it just has to click, and you have to keep going. It's like problem solving, really.
Yeah. It's a great feeling. My match that in December, how I said I had one match in my division. So I had this match in my division, and it was the girl that I had just gone against for another competition a few months prior, and she won. And so like mentally, I was kind of a little defeated before it even started. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to go like that again. But I was training. And so it just started off way different. And then I managed to get on top, and I felt so strong after, not cutting weight, one, and then, just training better in the gym and becoming healthier myself. And so then I ended up winning. And so that division was one person, but it meant so much more than like the open weight with 3 people, 3 different matches, because I was like, I really felt like I had grown as a competitor and as an athlete after coming back from feeling awful, like horribly defeated, the first time we went. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think I have to get going. But what is the name of your jiu-jitsu school?
So it's under Fredson Paixo. He is the instructor. It's Roku training. Okay.
So just make sure I have no idea how to spell that. So
I will email it to you.
I'll put all information in the links below. And do you have anything else?
Anyone in Vegas should stop by and come in and pop in for a training session.
Yeah. And I'll put the links to my matches, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I would have started as a teenager. I started karate at 16, but I was 33 when I started jiu-jitsu. So, I mean, it's such a huge difference. I wish I would have started as a teenager.
And I think, you know, for all those parents out there, when you start your girls at jiu-jitsu young, it's going to give them so much more confidence, and they're not going to be like, I feel like it taught me that men and women, one isn't better than the other, that we're all individuals and we're all people. Because when you're a kid and nobody's really got any testosterone going on yet or anything, it's really mind versus mind, you know, because basically you have the same strength and everything, and it's a level playing field. So I feel like it just really showed me that I can do anything that a man can do for the most part, you know. Maybe not, you know, but
definitely kick their butts.
And also you don't get that weird, like, I'm afraid to touch some, like, you know,
yeah,
which is annoying, but
yeah,
I understand if you never.
Yes, that's why I'm trying to get my daughter over right now. I'm like, it's okay, you know, like, it's all right. And it's a totally different environment. Like, the way people grab you, like if it's outside of jiu-jitsu, like it's kind of weird, but like inside, it's not like in a sexual manner or anything like that. It's just for training purposes. And so,
and
you know, you just
also when it is inappropriate in jiu-jitsu, it's very obvious.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, you just call out people on their shit, and nobody is going, you're not in the wrong. Like, nobody's going to be like, oh, he didn't mean it. And you'd be like, no, he fucking meant it. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like,
yeah.
you just, like, there's zero tolerance for that bullshit.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
and like my coach is super observant. So like, especially when like the younger girls are rolling, like he would be on top of that in a heartbeat. Yeah. And even before they start, like, don't do anything inappropriate or things like that. So.
And honestly, I always had the advantage because I wasn't afraid. And then if I fought a guy in a tournament, they're like, in the beginning, they're like a little bit afraid. But then once you start beating them, they're like, no, this isn't a girl anymore. This is a person.
Yeah, they just stop seeing your gender and they just see a different athlete staring next to them that they need to do what they need to do.
Exactly.
So I like it because of that too.
All right. Well, good talking to you. And
it was good talking to you too.
I would like you to come back on once the program starts. Really
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna go watch your matches. So when I email you the info, email me back if you have extra links. That'd be awesome.
All right. All right.
Have a great day.
You too.